Terry, how are you?
Good, good.
It's
How's it going?
Sorry, it took a
It's
second.
been a while.
Turn Terry up a bit. All right. Chat says to turn you up a bit, so I will turn you up a bit.
All right.
All right.
You guys hear me? I'll try to talk a little louder.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I can hear you fine. That's all that really matters.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So we are here to discuss all things related to the upcoming patch, where we're going to see, I guess, the first official seasonal wipe going into season 2, right? Preseason, or I guess it would be preseason 2, early access season 2.
Yep. Internally, we're just calling it wipe number 3.
Wipe
That's
number
the easy way
3.
for.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
the big wipe number 3.
we're going to wipe number 3.
Yeah.
So ground rule stuff. All right, we say this every time that we get together to have these. Terry has openly stated that he rambles, and
Yes.
we only get about an hour together. They do have a job to do.
Yep.
So in order to keep things flowing, he's asked me to kind of cut him off if he starts getting a little too long-winded, so we can just keep moving down the list of stuff. There's a whole lot of stuff to get through here. The majority of this is going to be talking about a very large piece, kind of like toward the middle to end, that deals with a big system that they're implementing. There's also there's going to be no legal related discussions, no talk about Steam. The purpose of this is to talk about like content related stuff and balance related stuff that's being added to the game. We're not talking about anything having to do with like Steam access releases or any of that stuff. I assure you, the moment that they are able to talk about it, they will tell us all what is going on. Is that fair, Terry?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to dive right into this. So first up, end of season, we have seasonal rewards, obviously, that everybody had gotten. For those of us that got like demigod and etc., we got like the campfire skin and like the fancy like sparkle cloak and all that stuff. So how do the seasonal rewards work?
So basically, it's gonna be given to all the cosmetic ones are given to the account. It took us actually, it was a pretty big challenge the last 2 weeks. Making all we thought it was all ready, but there was a lot of stuff like the new emote. It's a campfire emote where he actually you lie down in the sleeping bag, and so it's still
really
right now. Oh yeah.
Okay.
So, but it's a cool emote. So everyone's been testing that. But there was a lot more animation work than we thought was needed. There's a lot more. Like the artist had to go in and touch things up. So, yeah, that's why it was a kind of, this is our first time going through that. It was honestly more work than we thought. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with the next season, but we want to see the response and see how people like it, and we'll consider. We're not like we did with this previous preseason. We're not gonna, we don't have all the stuff ready yet. So
right.
We have like a list internally of the stuff that we think are cool, but we basically select from that list when making the rewards. So yeah, we're looking forward to your feedback on this. So
yeah, and I'm sure there's going to be no shortage of gamers willing to give you their very constructive feedback.
Yeah,
because as we know, they're all very well measured, right? I'm only kidding, fellas. I'm only kidding. All right. So seasonal rewards coming in. We're going to be able to flex on people and take a nap next to a campfire with a sleeping bag. That's kind of cool.
Yep.
We didn't even know what that one was going to be, so that's interesting. And then all right, and then obviously the big question is, will there be a druid in this patch?
Oh, sorry, you cut out. You cut out there. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so the big obvious question will be, or is there going to be a druid this patch?
No, unfortunately, no. Yeah. So, and I'll explain why when as we explain some of the other stuff that we worked on instead of the druid.
Okay.
And then there's like real life issues that kind of but its head in too. Is that so at least on the character side, the player, we call it like the player control or player character. our main guy that works on that, he had Corona for like a week and
Well,
a half. So
that will definitely get in the way.
yeah, that kind of pushed things back. But yeah, we kind of this last wipe pushing to here has been really rough for us internally. If you notice the previous hot fixes, like 35, or I think from like hot fix 33 to 35, 36, is that you know, of course there was a lot of bugs and stuff, and we had to work through the weekend. So there was a lot of, at least that last quarter or this last month, a lot of burning that midnight oil. So
yeah,
and
kind of
then
from
I
like
think
the
now,
implementation of the marketplace on, I'd say was pretty tough.
Yeah, it was pretty tough. So there's a lot of stuff that happens under the hood also. I want to mention, but because of that, I think we're kind of paying the price for that. So a lot of people are kind of sick right now. SDF, he's been hacking up a lung the last like 10 days too. So things like this is kind of putting a damper on our speed. So the one other announcement that I had to make right now is that the wipe is probably going to be pushed back one day. So I know we're trying to get it out on the 14th, but it's looking like it's going to be that extra day is probably going to hit our minimum bar.
Okay, so between the 14th and the 15th is when you're looking at doing the wipe, and we'll obviously have something more detailed when that gets closer.
Yeah, well, so I'll try to, because it's disappointing for us too, but it's just like people are here coughing up a lung, and we're telling them, hey, if you're that sick, don't come to the office, and there's still things that we have to get through on our checklist, and it's slowly changing colors. Like we used Jira to see our progress, and slowly changing colors. But usually that kind of velocity, the momentum we see near the end isn't as quick as possible or as we're used to. And so SDF, he messaged me this morning. He's like, hey, we need that extra day. Can you please announce it on today's stream? And so that was the big message that he wanted to get out today.
Okay. So people will just have to wait an extra day.
Yeah. So this is tied into the Druid also, is because our main guy was just out of commission for a while, and then on top of that, we're going to announce a pretty big new system, and this also is heavily tied into the player character system itself.
Yeah, and we're definitely getting to that down the line here for sure, because that's going to be I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
I don't mean to cut you off.
Oh yeah, so that's definitely going to be like the thing we're probably going to talk about the most today.
Yeah,
but
it's going to be the mass majority of this, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So for everybody going like, oh God, they're all dooming. Just give it a second. All right.
Okay. So, but the other stuff that I wanted to highlight, I think we talked about it the last time we were on your podcast, was your stream was, we're trying to put in all the extra investment into the technical side, and that's actually what we've been doing in the background for the last month, and that's why there was so the marketplace was a big issue on why we had to do a lot of those overnighters and stuff. But at the same time, I think hopefully people have noticed in the last like three or 4 hot fixes, the stuttering, a lot of that kind of the rubber banding and stuff should have significantly improved. We're still getting DDoS. I think that's one of the big remaining issues. And then we have now that we have like a proper profiler, we're looking into. So we do know there are causes of microstutters that are still remaining, and these are stuff that we're going to invest in fixing down the line now. But at least in terms of the big performance hitches and stuff, I think, within the last 3 weeks, we've made really, really huge, significant strides in improving that part of it. So, it's not like, flashy or sexy but it's just like it was a huge important part for us. And so we've been investing a lot into that technical side, and now the fruits are paying off. And on top of that, we've also beefed up on our technical resources here in terms of manpower. And so I think with the start of the season, you're going to see better improvement in performance. And I think when it comes to like hackers and the teaming issue, we have so these are other stuff we could talk about for our plans for White 3. Is I think we're going to see a lot of improvements on that side also. So it's not like cool content features, but these are things that was highly high priority for us to address. And I think now we're finally kind of turned that corner, and we're saying that okay. So one piece, like all the crashes aren't gone now, but one of the things that we're really happy about and giving us confidence going into the next wipe is that the last hotfix 36. So we have, we're using Unreal. We're using, their logging system, and we could see like whenever the server crashes, we could easily see that. And then we also have when their client crashes, you get that Unreal pop up, and then people could start sending. And so internally, our log, so that actually comes to our, one of our servers, and internally our logs showed that this is the lowest amount of server crashes or client crashes that we've ever seen ever.
So then it's improving then.
Yeah, so I would say it's improving very, very significantly. In terms of server crashes, this is the fewest server crashes we've ever seen through any playtest that we've ever had up to this point. So for us, it's nice. Like, oh, okay, all that extra work, we didn't know when it was going to pay off, but it's finally, the last 2 weeks or the last week and a half has been, for us, at least on the technical, our technical team, is like, okay, we finally see that light at the end of the tunnel. And so that was a big, they were doing all hands meetings. Okay, we got to get, I kid you not, like 3-4 weeks ago, it was pretty much unplayable at sometimes. Like people would say, hey, don't even try playing Goblin Caves.
There was some really bad server performance. Yes.
And so there was like emergency meetings, like SU was like rounded everyone up. Just like, dude, this is number one priority. Forget about anything else. Let's get this fixed. And so, they did it. So
that's good. Okay, so let's move on to quest stuff. So in a prior announcement, there was a mention from SDF of modifying the quest system to something that is chapter based, meaning more like drip fed. That same announcement mentioned the target for implementation was for this wipe. Is that still on track? Is that still happening?
Yes. So one of the things is it like in the previous wipes, even though we call it a wipe, because we don't have these kind of, first of all, we didn't have quests for, until the last wipe was when it was introduced. But before that was, even if we did the wipe, the game would feel fresh for maybe like 3 days, and then everyone's still, after that, in the first week, everyone's running around with their bis, right? And so, this time we just kind of feel like, okay, hey, we want to make it feel more like these seasons actually have like progression, like the overall season. So it feels like, okay, in the beginning, people are finding the ground and trying to figure out, okay, so you're not seeing legendaries, and you're not seeing, this super golden items right from the week one, right?
Right.
So on this side, Grayson has been actually helping us out a lot, kind of modeling, taking inspiration from like Tarkov and stuff. And so we have a quest schedule. And so because of this, it'll kind of gate how some of the crafting unlocks. So you wouldn't be able to get, start making gold capes and gold items from the first week, because you just wouldn't be able to get enough affinity right from the get-go. So stuff like this is we're starting with, And we have other ideas, to make this feel more like an actual season where it has like, real progression on the meta side.
Okay. So are the quests that you are, I guess now that you're gating them over time, are they the same quests as prior? Has the quest list been expanded upon? Are there new ones? Are they different?
Yeah, so it's a mix of both. So you'll see now we introduced that chapter system, the quest chapters. So you'll see like several chapters coming out in the beginning, and then each week new chapters that will continually be added, right? And then so it was tough trying to make all these new quests within the last 4 weeks, right? So you will see some of the quests being recycled or kind of modified, but our goal is like the later quests, we're going to have new quest objective types too, and then we have new modifiers for the quest. So you see like the difficulty start to ramp up too with the quest as we go along. But the early ones are going to be pretty familiar. Yes.
Okay. So then, and then a follow up I have for this is, what about like drop rate kind of stuff? So just as a matter of example, like the wolf pelts that you had to collect, they had a very low drop rate, and like by the math, if the statistics on the wiki were right, by the math, you'd have to kill something like 1,000 wolves in order to be able to get enough like pelts for all the quests.
Yeah. So that was kind of a we just wanted, that was an experiment, and we learned from that experiment. Hey, that's not the way we want to go. Things will be dramatically improved on the quest list. There might still be some, a few of those kind of super rare drops, but that's not that's not the intended. This time we're gonna have, like I think we had things that were like 0.05% drop rates. If on the higher end it would be like 2% or something with the previous quest we call them hunting loops, right? This time it's gonna be like, on the very, very low end, maybe 1%, but most things are gonna be like 5 to 10% drop rates, 20%. 15%.
Yeah, I think that's much more reasonable and realistic, especially because you have like the vast majority of people that play this game are not going to be people like me that play it for 8 to 12 hours a day every day. When you have people that have to spend their 1 or 2, or if they're lucky 3 hours a night or whatever, just killing wolves for like 2 straight weeks to try and get up the pelts, like it was just very grindy.
Well, so the other thing to keep in mind with the previous quest system was, because that was our first foray into building the quest. Like we didn't really know, how long it's going to take, how much of a grind. So I just, basically we told Greg, hey, we want make it hard enough that it takes 3 months for like the average person to complete all the quests. And so that's why it had those kind of super RNG elements and that really grindiness. This one should be moderately, like the difficulty should be, at least at the front end, is going to be, weeks 1, 2, 3 should be much, much, much more manageable.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. I think that's a welcome change. Okay. All right. So in the most recent series of announcements, SDF mentioned a new vendor, the Squire, that would assist with setting up baseline gear sets for like running normals, for instance. And then you had sent me a couple of screen caps of this to be added for this patch. And then I guess I can show them, and then if you want to elaborate on how that works.
Okay. Yeah. So the thinking behind the Squire is basically, so we, it's kind of an acknowledgement too, is that there's the high roller and the normal matches. Although there's overlap, is that there's different kind of needs for the players that play, these pools exclusively. And so one of the things is currently if you're trying to play a lot of normal matches, especially like successively, is that there's these blockers because you can't, bring in anything higher than uncommon, right? Or higher than common. And so it's a pain in the butt to go figure out, okay, what item is missing and stuff. So right now we're adding this thing called the Squire system. It's basically when he'll just automatically figure out what items you should remove, and then the other thing is then he'll replace those items with your starting base gear kit. But then the thing that we've added here is that now we're going to allow you to start customizing your base kit too. So that basically you could, tell your Squire, hey, I have so and so affinity with, the weaponsmith or whatever. I don't want the arming sword anymore. Hey, go, always get me a falchion, or get me a rapier or something, and he'll be able to do that for you. So then when you start where you're asking to switch out your switch you into your base kit, you basically have your own customized set. So that's basically the Squire system. Yeah.
So if you wanted to make sure that like your wizard had a spell book at the start every time, you can set that up.
Yes, you can set that up. So I mean, so the need was originally for we thought like, to streamline that experience for normals, but I think this also will carry over into some high rollers also, is that, hey, if you want to do like a kind of a slim run for the high rollers, you have that base, at least that minimum base set, and then you could customize with your actual loot. So
yeah, I think it's a welcome change, because a lot of the so just to ask you like another question about this, then will the Squire have like a gray or a white quality, like a common quality item of every type that's available at all times, or is it going to be something that is done on a rotation like the other vendors? Because sometimes you don't have the ability to get like knowledge gear that you would want if you're a caster class, or vigor gear if you would want like if you're a Slayer fighter or something along those lines.
Yeah, so the Squire system is that you progress. He has access to the full vendor item list, right? So if you unlock a certain item with the Squire for him to get you from like the weaponsmith, even if it's not in rotation, at least up to the quality and the item type, he'll be able to get that for you.
So this is not just for like going to normals then. This includes like higher quality unlocks as well.
It'll go up to common right now, because
okay, so it's limited. It's currently limited to common.
Yeah.
Okay. Still, I mean that's still really really cool actually.
Yeah.
Because that eliminates a lot of headache where people are like stockpiling certain white items if they're trying to spam normals and stuff.
Exactly. So that was basically our experience. And the priority went up. That's part of the reason that we did that. The normal leaderboards is to what are the real big pain points? Trying to do consecutive normal matches, and so that's what's been helping us polish up the Squire system is supposed to provide.
Okay, so moving on from the Squire. We'll mention the AP system. So the AP system was, I guess, the way it worked was primarily hyper focused on just like looting a lot of stuff, and then if you were trying to min max it, you're taking the little stacks of candy and like spreading them out so that they actually count for like additional AP. And,
I've
like
done
throwing.
That. I did that also after watching your video.
Oh God, Terry watches my YouTube. I'm gonna have to be careful. So there was that, and then there's like throwing like gear on the floor and just like picking up new stuff to replace that gear because that counted for AP as well. Is there going to be a modification away from like all of this like excess like min max kind of shuffle like loot focus stuff, or is this kind of like what you're looking at?
Well, so right here, I think the bigger thing that we wanted to address was not incentivizing PvP enough, right? So I think with the and that was one of the things that again, this is just a test with the normal matchmaking. So I think we have some ideas of how to modify the AP earned for PvP kills and stuff. At the same time, also we want to kind of maybe reduce the impact of those, the gear score, like the treasure and the gear score. I think it does make sense that there's that a little bit of that factor going in. It's like, okay, it makes you want to open all the chests just in case that you get that like purple, band or something, right? You're like, okay, this is a big AP boost or whatever. But at the same time, is that we want to make like killing monsters, killing bosses, killing, hunting other people, and even the act of opening give a little bit more weight to that. So there's going to be just like a general overall kind of balancing, pass through the AP, how AP is calculated.
Okay.
So
any idea around so let's say scenario wise, your team fights another team, you win, and then you're looting the other players for like the valuable stuff that you can take out with you. As it stands right now in the AP system, it's all about like whether or not a piece or an item is considered like looted versus handled. Is there any incentive going to be given to people that are like looting players that they've killed and like taking out that valuable stuff? Or is that still, or is the reward really just in like whether or not you won?
Yeah, right now it's whether or not you. So we, that is one thing that we looked into, and just the way that the system is built right now was that it would have to handle a lot of off cases, and so we're like, okay, we just don't have the resources or the liberty right now to touch that.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something probably we want to go back at later on. It's just right now it's so complicated and it's kind of interlinked with a lot of other that whole looted and how that's calculated. So right now it's going to be a first pass as, hey, we didn't like the fact that it was just too, the people are getting too friendly within the dungeons and stuff. So the real thing was that we wanted to actually make we're working on another system, but this is all got pushed back, right? And so the easiest thing we could do is just changing this formula is something that we could test rapidly with here. So I think that's why we're going with this approach right now. It's not the best approach, we fully understand that, but it's just we don't have resources right now. People are kind of just like it's like a infirmary, so it's like a triage, so I have to be pretty careful with how we're utilizing our resources right now.
Yeah, if your whole office is sick, it's going to mess up your timeline. That's for sure. Yeah. Okay. So from there to class balancing. So right now, like all other iterations and patches, when there's balancing changes, there's new meta issues that emerge. Most notably, there are a few things that seem to be lackluster and others that seem to be a bit too strong. For example, the Francesca axe spam with very little penalty to run speed, either when holding them or when throwing them. Barbs with axe mastery getting extra damage on that while being able to move at that level of run speed. Rogues doing it with throwing knives. Even wizards to an extent, but most of them don't. Or like in a lot of cases, like ignited throwing knives do better damage than like magic missiles, which is kind of weird. Torture mastery warlocks at low gear aren't really usable as a perk anymore. Spell damage on low geared wizards is pretty rough. And then you tip the scale the complete other way, and then you have high level guys geared with like say gold items once all that stuff is unlocked. Ends up being very, very, very strong, and the snowball kind of gets out of control. So are there going to be like balancing past changes kind of stuff that's going on with this patch?
Okay, so in terms of like the specific balancing, I'm unfortunately I'm not the guy that could give you the answers for that. So
okay.
I don't know the actual details. But the big picture side is that right now, because so actually before we go into this, can I talk about so I think this is another big thing that we have to announce is because
do you want to talk about the system?
Oh no, so I want to talk about the what is it, map balancing first.
Okay,
matchmaking.
That's fine. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's do that.
So yeah, because this is the other thing that we've been really kind of I guess debating internally, like kind of struggling with is how to do the matchmaking pools, right? And so how to balance this. This also ties in with the AP
Right.
like the AP balancing and stuff, is that, I think, we had a good try with the last season with trying to do uh, the leaderboard, but I think, safe to say, I don't think we're that successful. I think a lot of it has to do with servicing multiple maps for multiple party types. And so, we went back and forth with a lot of different types of matchmaking pools. We had like the hybrid rotation, non-rotation. Right now, we just like, we just said like, hey, you know what? Our brain power is maxed out on here. We're just gonna give you crypts for right now, and until we could figure this out. So that's what we've been doing, talking about internally. And our conclusion, right? So this is basically, we've come to the conclusion is, for us right now, Ironmace, our team, the size as it is that we're gonna return to the original system that we had, where it's solos only go into the Goblin Caves. The trios only has access to the the Howling Crypts Inferno, and then back then the original system was the duos go to the ruins, right? Right now we're redoing the ruins, right? And so we're gonna give the duos the Frost Mountain for right now. And so I want to explain the reasoning behind this, because people are gonna be like, I can see your chat right now. It's like, oh, okay.
It's a little scrolly. Yes, it's going a little ham, dude.
Yeah. Okay. So there's multiple big issues that we have to think about here, right? Is that first of all is the player pool. So generally speaking, our expectation, you have these kind of wipes. Our data shows that generally speaking, you do these wipes and we'll get around. Our hope is we get around a double or 2.5 the population bump from at the end of the wipe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking at our data. We see like, okay, how many pools can we actually support with that estimated player population, right? And so I know that STF wanted it to be about, hey, okay, we service all 7 of our regions, and we have our 2 game types, and then we have so we're also this time on the backside, we're implementing some anti-teaming tech, features. So it makes it, we make it so it's, we have multiple matchmaking pools that makes it very, very difficult for people to get in the same pool again. So, but what that means is that it splits up the matching pool even more, right? And so when we looked at, so I mean, we knew that this was going to be an issue even when, we originally announced, hey, we're going to give everyone access to every map, right? So the first issue is that it's going to split the player pool too much. And, originally our thinking was, hey, it's all right. The game's fun, even as a sparse PvE experience. But then we did that for a couple of days, and we're looking at the data, and it's like most match rooms when we had it, even at like we were averaging around like 10,000, 11,000 players with all those split player base, is that on the less populated regions, you were seeing 2 to 3 people per session. And then even on the more populated, the average per session was like five people. And so it was like, okay, so there's in terms of the experience that we want to present to the players. And then also on top of that it has to make sense on the business side too, because each, for us is that we just run each session is just a cost for us, right? So the thing is, we want to get a good bang for your buck for each, server session that we're running, is that we want to be able to give as many players an enjoyable experience. And so now we're looking at it and we're saying, oh, okay, this is kind of in that iffy area. It's like, hey, are you going to eat all this cost for like 2 people to run on the server? And we're seeing that becoming the norm. And so for us was that hey, this is probably not the direction that we want to keep on going towards. And then the other thing is that the more important factor here is that, when we looked at the way that we try to balance like the AP, people's experience with all the different type of maps, is that I think for us, we came to the conclusion, hey, we don't have the capacity and we haven't made the right moves to balance all the map types for all the party types, and I'll be very open and transparent. It's like in solos, I think we're going to always have a the game was never meant for solos from the beginning. We kind of did that reluctantly, and then the response was so great from the players that we've stuck with it. But at the same time, is that it's kind of like this, it's a very, very difficult challenge for us. It's maintaining the right balance around giving a good solo experience. I don't even know if that we could ever accomplish that, but what our current thinking is that, hey, we've fallen far lower than the bar that we want to hit, and then trying to maintain like these maps that try to cater to solo, trio, duo all at once. That's something that we're not good at yet. We have to go through a lot more iterations. We have to go through a lot more. And the issue here is that the actual our team size right now can't do that. Like the design team, they've just been like, they built that Ice Frost Mountain in I think it was like 7 weeks, but it's 25 modules, and it's like 1.5 guys, 2 guys working on this.
Yeah.
And then and then before that, they had to add all the extra modules for the 5x5 goblin. And so the thing is that, it's a lot of hit and miss. It's a lot. So for us, it's like, okay, we have a lot of these maps and modules and stuff, but, we put it out there, and then we don't even have enough time and capacity to actually do like a proper post-mortem, like figure out how to improve the quality of these maps, what it is we're actually aiming for. Is it for like, if it was like, even, I think you saw with the original, the older 3x3 Goblin Caves, like some variations were much like the difference in quality was pretty large gap, right?
Yes.
And so the thing was like, hey, instead of just kind of rushing full forward without just like throwing things, out of this truck and just, hey, you guys figure it out. It's like, I think, internally we said we need to change the strategy. And at least with the team size right now, what we could focus on is like, okay, let's try to make the best solo experience, solo map, right? We have like a baseline for it, but we don't have polishing on it. And so if we have, maps and we have to service all the various party types on every single map, we're never, it's going to take us 10 years before we could get, the polished quality up. So I think, we lucked out with the crypts because through all those previous playtests, that's all it was. And, we had that kind of, we're very kind of strict saying, hey, we're only going to cater to 3 versus trios, for the first 4 playtests, right?
Right.
And so I think that it went through the proper polishing process. Whereas like the ruins, the Goblin Caves and stuff, is that especially like the stuff that we kind of rushed towards the end, it didn't go through that process. You could feel, you knew it was rushed. Like when the Goblin Caves first came out to the trios and the duos, like it didn't have sacrificial altars, so your teammate dies.
Yeah.
Like things like that were, big misses. And so it's like, if we keep on rushing and not, focusing on having this kind of, okay, this is what we want to polish it at, is that we're going to continue down this path. And so we want to just say, okay, you know what? Let's try to find the best solo, solo Dark and Dark experience. Let's try to, find a good, really solid duo experience. And let's try to, I think the trios is the one that's in the best state right now, just because of how much it's gone through. But
I mean,
like
that was
the
your
other two
focus of
have
the
been
game from
really
the start.
Yeah. And so the best way that our team could, really attack this issue is that we have to contain each of them to their own area now. Right.
So if you're
we try
making
to do
if you're making goblins
Yeah.
solo only, does that mean that the map size is shrinking back to something like from before? Is it going back to like a 3x3 map, like what it was prior?
Yes.
Or okay.
So it's going to go back to 3x3. I think so. Yeah. Our internal discussion was like the original 3x3 map, Goblin, was a better map than the current 5x5 map, especially for solos.
Okay. And then for Frost Cave, is that also shrinking?
No. So the Frost Cave is not going to, we're going to do this step by step, right? Instead of just trying to juggle a bunch of plates all at once, it's like, okay, let's start with Goblin Caves for the solo. Okay. Because there's two main guys that do all the levels right now, right? So there's only 4 eyeballs.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you doubled the size of your staff. Instead of the one guy, now it's the 2 guys. So you're good.
Yeah. So I think the thing is, all the stuff we made and we have it in our vault, right? So I think we have now, and we do have the test server and stuff. And so for events and stuff, we'll be, like throwing these out, like the non highly polished stuff. We could always bring it out for special events and stuff. But I think for the health and health of the game and the health of my team especially, is that hey, we have to kind of just be a lot more focused and try to do all things all at once. So that was a big thing.
So then to recap, we're going back to old GC, which will be solos only. Frost Cavern FC is coming back as a duos only, and then for now Ruins is off rotation. It's not in the game at all.
Yes.
And it will be Crypts to Inferno, and that will be centralized around trios.
Yes. And so the benefit of kind of concentrating all these the party type, linking, going back to that the old style, is that now that we have that kind of the technology and stuff in the background for matchmaking, how we do how we prevent teamers and stuff, is that all of this should work much better now. So the overall experience, having this, where we could control a lot of the and having a lot more people per session, is that it should result in for clean players in a lot more clean sessions,
Okay.
And so that's the other benefit that we seriously considered, is that hey, okay, towards the end of the season, we were getting just as fed up with all the teamers and the cheaters and stuff. It's like, okay, we're trying to capture these guys as fast as possible. But the thing is that we need some systemic features that also help us, because we're going in and manually banning all these people. But
so then there's no gold mining in the game then, or is gold going to be like put in randomly where the other nodes would have been?
Yes. So again, that's kind of tied into the gate. It kind of naturally works in with the gating, but I think it's easy for us to start putting around smaller gold nodes where Ruins does have that kind of link with gold mining right now. But I think without the Ruins being accessible, we have to look at other solutions. Right?
Yeah, and with the time gating on Quest, gold won't be available. You can't do anything with the gold right away anyway, so I suppose it gives you a few weeks to be able to figure it out.
Yep.
Okay. So, all right. So from the match balancing or map balancing and matchmaking stuff, moving into like the class balancing side of things. There's going to be class balances that are made, but I guess in terms of like where you are with the company and like your roles, you don't necessarily have a whole lot of information on that. You just know if there's going to be some.
Well, so I know. So I have the what is it, the big picture view, and so the reason. So what we're doing is, so it's going to tie in. I guess you could. So the big system we're going to test with this new season is the training system. Is going to be so we're going to try to do an experimental multiclassing system. And so for this to start off, is that we have to have at least a normalized amount of perks and skills for each of the classes, right? I think you'll see, like, there's classes that have rogue, say, that has maybe abundance of perks, and then there's bard that has very few. So these things, to make multiclassing kind of fair, is that we've been working on trying to kind of normalize so that the gap between the numbers isn't as large. And so that means that because we're reworking a lot of the perks and skills and stuff, is that it naturally leads to rebalancing of a lot of these perks and skills right now.
Right. So chat seems like they're a little bit confused. So just so that everybody's on the same page, and I'll ask this more directly. Will there be a multi-classing system along with it, like a training multi-classing system in this next patch?
So the start of the system will be in this next patch. You won't be able to, again, it's going to be gated. We're going to, so this is basically the announcement of the multi-classing system, and you'll be able to look at it. So I sent you the...
I'll show you guys the image. Here you go. Okay, it's up on the screen now.
Yeah. So this is how the new training page is going to look at. So basically, as you'll notice, is first of all, there's no level 20 anymore. So the numbers here are still in work. Okay. So I don't, I don't want
the XP amount is not set in stone or any of that other stuff. So take that with a grain of salt, everybody.
Yeah, and where the rewards and where the learning tokens and what those are still going to be updated, right? So
maybe you want to explain to them how the training token system works.
Yeah, so the first thing is you're going to have you could just keep on leveling to level 9999 or whatever, right? So there's no level 20 limit anymore, and after level 20, each level is going to be the same amount. So it's just like a kind of like a leveling grind, right? But the thing is that once you get to, right now, internally, it's set at level 100, let's say, is that once you get to a certain milestone, you become a master of that class. So you have a fighter, let's say, and he gets to level 100, then he becomes a master fighter, okay? And so from that point on, basically, you're a master fighter, could teach other masters within your account their skills and perks, if they have spells, songs, if they're bard songs, to other masters, okay? So basically, we're trying to incentivize people to build up multiple classes, right? So people, the way we looked at it is that the majority of our, fervent fans, they already run multiple characters. Some of the hardcore players, they have basically every single class, right?
So this benefits players that want to play multiple classes, is kind of the idea.
Well, so basically, we're just telling you, play multiple classes. If you want to participate in multiclassing, play multiple classes. Yeah. And so basically, what happens is you get your characters to master level, right? And then there's going to be milestones after the master level where you earn this thing called learning token, right? For that character. And then when they redeem that learning token, there's a page that pops up that lets them select from all the other masters in their account, right? To learn from that class. So if they have, let's say, another character is a master rogue, then the rogue would appear there, and they could select him. And then basically, it's kind of like a Vampire Survivor or roguelike, right? It's like 3 random skills from that the selected class will appear, and you get to choose from one of those 3 to add to your current class. And you could do that every time that you get a new learning token for that class, for that character. And then if you look at that, what is it? On the right side, they have someone called the class master. So the class master is basically like the first character you build up to level 100, you're not going to have a second master ready to go. So when you get that learning token, is that if you don't want to just hold on to it and you want to just, start giving your character new perks right away, is that you could actually click on select the class master, and he will have a bunch of generic kind of perks and skills, right? So it's basically like longbow master something. And it's basically, if you select that, it doesn't matter if your character couldn't use longbow, now he could use longbow, and every time he uses a longbow, he gets like +1 damage or something like that. Agility mastery. So you just, if that's a perk, and you get like +3 agility or something like that. So that's kind of the overview of the system. So basically, when this is being built right now. So the problem is when the white first starts, you won't be able to actually redeem the tokens yet, but then we're going to be able to, you could start accumulating all those tokens. So, and then the left side is kind of self-explanatory. It's just the reward tokens is that you get those smaller milestones, maybe like, let's say like every 5 levels. And those are things that you just get like a free random item,
Okay.
And you can select from like 3 random items.
So, so just to like recap this, if you want to learn from another class, right, like on your own like sheet of different characters, you need to have 2 characters that are like level 100 plus, and then the one character would select learning from the other.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And that 100 is, internally, where we have to actually go through with and it's like, okay, is this where we want it to be? But then there's going to be a milestone where you become a master. So you have to have multiple masters that could start cross-teaching each other.
Right. So then this obviously raises a concern, because there are players like myself that know life in this game and will do nothing but stay up for many, many hours a day trying to grind away on this to get as many level 100 characters as possible in order to be able to like learn from them, right?
Yes.
Versus people that like play like normal people and have actual lives and then play this game when they can. That would be potentially a severe disadvantage depending on certain synergies in this game that could make certain multi-classes like very, very, very strong. So are you looking into like how that XP grind works for people that can like live in the game versus people that can't, and how there could be like an imbalancing problem?
Yeah. So first of all, the milestones are going to have, a point of like diminishing returns, or so it's going to be far easier for people to get like the first like 3 learning tokens, where it's like, it gets harder and harder. So, even though there is that power gap that'll appear, is that there is that kind of roguelike RNG factor that's added into it. But we're also revamping the way that EXP is earned. So right now, like high-end, well-knowledge, highly talented, skilled player could do around, our data shows like 20x the average EXP per session, per game, match session.
Yep.
And then we know that they play like 20x the game. Oh, no, not 20x, but maybe like 7-8x the average game session time of an average player. And so that adds up. That makes a pretty big gap. So I think we have to work on normalizing that a little bit. We still want to give advantage for playing correctly and playing a lot. But those are 2 things. And then I think once the system's in place, we'll start exploring other ways that could kind of, maybe like a rested system, or, we'll look to other similar like MMORPGs and stuff for inspiration there.
So will these, like, let's say these taught skills, they will be at like full strength. They won't have like any reduced functionality. They will be just like if I have a wizard and I learn hide, it's going to be like rogue hide.
So again, we're redoing a lot of the skills and the balances or the
Okay.
perks right now. So it's hard to say because hide itself is being redone right now. So
Okay.
I think there's going to be a lot of assumptions that are be going on right now.
Okay. So there's going to be like a complete
Yeah.
revamping of like how skills work
Yeah.
in the game too. All right. So there's a lot of changes.
Yes. So and the reason the big push for redoing these skills is because of this system itself. Because we do realize that it's going to be kind of crazy having a double jumping, hiding, demon form barbarian, raining down on you. So
Demon form barb throwing axes with no loss in movement speed sounds terrifying. Any way you anything you want to elaborate on the new hide system since you mentioned it?
Yeah, so I know it's being worked on, but I don't. Again, I'm not the guy right now to ask the details. I just know, okay, there's changes. I see the logs and stuff. Oh, they're
Okay.
working on it. They're changing it a lot. Yeah, but I can't give you because I don't know. I don't know the exact details.
Okay.
Of how it's being changed. But like,
can somebody check on Repose? Make sure he's all right. He might.
No. So one of the things that I do know is that we're working on this is another like little balance tidbit is that at least for like one of the things I saw in the logs for addressing the throwing meta, with the throwing weapons is that it was going to have equip time. So when you remove it from the backpack and put it onto your utility slots now. So basically in our mind is when you open up, you push the tab and you're moving something from your backpack into your, like, in our mind, in our imagination is you're actually taking out your knapsack or your backpack and you're like opening it up and you're going through it, right? So
okay. So stuff like Francesca's are going to have equip time for belts.
Yes.
Okay.
So
I think that would help.
Yeah, and I think I'm pretty sure, but I think it's the equip time is also linked to your resourcefulness. So if you do want to, so that's the thing is that because of multiclassing, like the weight of all the attributes have to be also somewhat normalized because your starting stats will start to matter now. Because you're going to have much more diversity of different perks and skills and stuff, right? So the thing that's really going to make characters stand apart are going to be the starting stats. So we're going to slowly start incorporating things that make the worst stat right now of resourcefulness is to make it a little bit more functional, right?
Okay. All right. So, well, I guess in the same thought of items and equipping them and whatnot, are we going to see new items in this upcoming patch?
Yes. So I think so one of the things the marketplace for us was a big internally we think it was a big win for us. One of the issues when we had like the super powerful random modifiers was that, first of all, it made BIS items really, really, really powerful. But it made it when you actually lost it and you're trying to redo your kit again, it made it, extremely burdensome. A lot of, so I think one of the things that we really appreciate with the new marketplace is that it really reduced that kind of burden of when you do have suffer a loss in the dungeons is getting back up to enough to get back in. So the thing is, I think so to we had multi-pronged approaches to address that issue, and one of them were the primary stats. So this last season, basically all the items, you saw that we did a big boost to the primary stats, right? So you could get if you get like a unique or a legendary item, you could see up to like +7 of a primary attribute, right? So basically, this time we're adding a bunch of we call them like hybrid primary items. It's kind of like in Magic, you get the dual lands or the dual color set kind of decks. So we're gonna try experimenting with some of those things and starting off with a few of those kind of items. Again, it's an experiment. We'll see how it goes, and then rebalancing some of the items that we don't think need a little bit of adjustment and stuff. So yeah, I guess that's the answer. Is that you could see you could expect new items.
Okay.
It's not really flashy or anything, but hey, this is something that I think it might be fun.
Okay.
You could see like different type of builds, right? So our thing is like, we want to kind of start pushing towards making more variety of builds for players to play around with their characters.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, and then the last thing that you had kind of on your list of stuff was with people in the past. There's a lot of people that were looking for the potential to be able to like make a gift of the game to other people if they wanted to. And you had a note here about a gift code system.
Yeah. So because so I know we're not going to talk about like Steam and other platforms right now because we're always working on that. But in the meantime, because it's not our style to just rely on external partners right now, is that we do try to build stuff that we could control ourselves. So because we do have the benefit of having our own blacksmith platform, is that we're like, hey, it kind of sucks that you can't give the game to anyone. So let's just build it. So our platform team has been working on making the gift code system. So now you could purchase the game for your friends. And I think we're going to have a pretty, we're going to kind of test out that gift code system. So my fingers crossed is that this is all ready to go during the wipe. So, we're looking forward to doing another kind of sales promotion, and then because we had this gift code system, we could test it out in a variety of ways. So I think one of the things we're looking at is we could make different type of gift code products. So we could actually make like time limited trial gift codes. Mm-hmm. So that's, I think, something we're going to try to explore.
Like a 1 week trial account kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more than 1 week, right?
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. So that's
everything. Friends into it.
Yeah. So that's everything that you had wanted to go over. I do have questions from the community if you want to take a couple of questions for that.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So I got a couple from Ryan 6 days a week, my boy. The first one being, will we be seeing community integrated events with this wipe? Things like PvP arena versus the dev team, like a Twitch drops push, weekend, like a kill race tournament, goblin merchant roll if you kill me in solos, like stuff like that. Is there anything that you're planning to do, like more community engaged type of stuff?
Okay, so like my personal answer, as a fan, just like a gamer, is I would love to do that. That's part of the reason that we started Ironmace, is to have that kind of more direct relationship with the players. But right now, I just have to be very realistic. Is that so many things are getting delayed right now? Because it's just like we've been pushing so fast, just going full speed ahead. Is I think we do have to internally slow things down, and then make sure that we get some of these features ready to go before we could start concentrating on these kind of more community-based events, right? But the thing is, I think we're getting a lot closer. to a state that we're going to be ready for that. And we are already exploring ways to, make this, get it set up. So like, several months down the line, I think that's the realistic timeline on this, is that then we could actually push ahead and do really cool, creative kind of events together. And so one of the building blocks, we pushed out, we pushed it out in a way that wasn't really done to fanfare or whatever, but it was, now we do have that test environment. And so the reason we wanted to get that test environment out there is to do those kind of tests that are a little bit more wacky, and our big goal for that is to get the arena out there, but that's not going to be this month. So
okay, so arena not this month. Still something that's being worked on. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, dude. Like marketing stuff, Twitch Drops does a lot. But whenever you guys are able to get around to it,
we're 100% aware of that, and we're starting to make those right, investments now internally in the background.
Good.
But it takes a little bit of time to get things rolling.
Yeah, everything takes time, especially since you guys are like going ground up. So, okay.
Yeah, that's not our specialty.
In the vein of like cosmetic stuff, is there ever going to be something that would be like a cosmetic that's achievement based, like a skin for a mining pick if you're yearning and mine like 1,000 ore? Like you get like a skin for a mining pick if you do a certain task a number of times, or like you pound a ton of ale and you get some like weird tipsy emote, stuff like that. Is that anything that you guys have ever like thought of, considered?
No, but all of those sound really good. So I'll add them to our list of things to do. So
people in chat are spamming add sex to Dark and Darker. Oh my god, dude. We talked about the sex update last time, guys. Don't worry about it. Any plans to make gold storage options a little bit more accessible? Sometimes you get like a high value item sold, like you don't really have the stash base, but you end up getting like a soul scraper, and you sell it on the market for 20,000 gold, and now you have to figure out how you're going to get 20,000 gold into your inventory. Is there anything that you guys have planned to be able to kind of like help with the storage of like currency, because that takes up a lot of space if you don't have the money for it?
Yeah, but right now it's a lower priority issue, just because we have, we're concentrating on getting the major features ready for the wipe. We'll always try to put in a few of those kind of quality of life kind of updates when we can. So, but again, that is not a high priority right now, just because we just have so much other stuff to do on our whiteboard right now.
Right. Okay. There was a mention that SDF had made a little while back, a few weeks ago maybe, about the idea of toying with like an insurance system or secure container. Is that still something that you guys are looking at for the future?
Oh, no. So it's not a secure container. So again, it's fallen down on the list, but we have things like a goblin, we have a goblin merchant, and he has his crew of little goblins that are going around the dungeons and stuff. And so it's going to be our kind of approach to retrieving items that weren't taken off your body. And then, so it's not a secure container. Like you don't have that ability to safeguard that on your personal body itself. But then we are also thinking, this is farther down the line, is that if we do go back to like the 3-layer dungeons, is that one of the challenges that we saw was that because you're giving this kind of longer time commitment and you have that limited inventory space, is that maybe you need a way to get some of your items out at the intervals, right? So like we have something internally we call the Dungeon Express, the Express Man. And so these are things that are designed and just kind of waiting in the pipeline.
Okay. Let's see. Marketplace stuff. So right now, if you're looking for an item on the market, you have the ability to put in like the static stat of the item and then like one random stat. Is there going to be the ability to, or can you expand upon it so that you can look up or try to find an item with like more than one of those random stats on it at once? Or is it like limited to just being able to search for the one?
Again, this goes back to quality of life stuff. This one I would have to actually ask our engineers, like, hey, how easy is it? But I think it's not just a technical issue; it's also about making the presentation. So the UI guy has to get his thoughts too. So I would love that too. Yeah. So
okay. Chat Druid question mark? Druid? Like guys are showing up super late and they want to know whether or not the Druid's going to be in the game. I'm not telling them. You guys can rewind. Go find it yourselves. All right. Okay. Next time, show up on time. Will we have infographics and stats from last season at some point to view? Like now that the season's over.
So, yeah, that's a good question. I'll go and find out for you guys. So, yeah, I don't know. You just like totally blindsided me on that.
Nice. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. There's a lot of people that were interested just to see like statistics. I had a lot of people reach out to me in DMs and ask me about that one.
Okay.
All right. So, this is on probably the biggest question that I have. Evil Eye fixed when?
Evil Eye fixed when?
Yeah, Evil Eye doesn't work right now. You can't use it.
Yeah. So again, our player character guy's back, so I'll push him on that.
Okay. All right.
His list, I know. Looking at his list right now, it's like, oh man, okay, where am I going to fit that task? Fix Evil Eye in that list. So.
Will the new, so when the new season starts, does leaderboard start immediately, or does it start like a day delayed, 2 days delayed for a high roller in normals?
I have to ask.
Okay.
I'll get back to you on that.
All right. Well, you got another QA tomorrow, so maybe you could just tell like bad and those guys when they ask you.
I'll get prepared for tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay, so I know that I asked you this question the last time, like the last like major QA session that we did. I asked you this before. There's this split on account-wide unlocks and account-wide quest progression as it relates to like whether you do quests as an individual or whether the quest can be done as like an account-wide progress. And with the issue being like either it would have to be where the vendors end up having like a singular rotation for your entire account, or you would have to like, I guess, allow for people to, once they unlocked it, if it was account wide, to then have like 9 potential characters that could end up like seeing all the craftable items and look for like all the good RNG and stuff. Has there been any thought given to like account-wide quest progression, or is it still looking at like individual based?
So right now we don't have the system in for account-based quest progression. So the way we're addressing it right now is at least the early quests are going to be much easier than the previous one. So last season was kind of special because we just didn't know how the quest system was going to be. Like how players accept so that's why we just went, hey, make it as hard and grindy as possible, right? So I think that's a part of the reason for why we are not the full reason. So we do understand why people would want to have that kind of account-wide progression, but again, because that system is, we have to go back and look at how all the characters interact with the account itself is not an easy problem to tackle. So right now, the easier way is, hey, early quests, we're just going to make it much, much easier to complete these quests.
Okay. So the answer is no, but
No,
easier quest
yeah,
progression. Yeah, no account wide quest progress. Get wrecked. Sorry. All right. What else? What else you guys got? Question wise, we already talked about Frost Wyvern. Again, like go back to the beginning of the VOD. It was like the second question I asked. Druid has no ETA, right? I don't think you said anything about an ETA on Druid. It's a work in progress.
yeah. So I'll give you an update. So one of the issues that we had is because we're making all these animals in first person, is to make. So we have around 3 of the beasts that we got working, but working is in quotations, right? Because working means that hey, you could use them, but it doesn't there's that kind of that where it feels fun and it feels like really good and feels like and so we're doing a lot of R&D onto that part. So our main animator that's basically what he's been working on night and day for like the last several weeks. It's just like we want these animals to not feel like really like we just got like a third party asset and just plopped it into game. That's as far away from what we want to go. It's like, hey, this does feel like I'm a first person, panther, that kind of thing, right? So it was a bigger technical challenge and a bigger gameplay challenge than we thought. So this is another, in addition to like the human toll of the health toll right now, is that this is the other big challenge that we're kind of the hurdle that we're trying to overcome right now with the druid. And so a lot of these kind of R&D stuff is that you kind of keep on butting your head against that wall until, oh wait, we found a solution, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why it's a little bit difficult. But I think we're like SDF told me, he's like, hey, it doesn't feel bad, but it doesn't feel great. And so whereas like the first iteration I was like, oh my god, is this even possible? But now it's like, okay, it feels all right, okay, but we want it to feel good.
Yeah, that makes sense. People are asking about like quivers and backpacks, which I think you guys had mentioned that you put on like a back burner, I think like 2 QA sessions ago.
Well, okay, so this is because people that know how like on the technical side is that basically we're refactoring the entire inventory system, and we have been for a while, right? Because the way that it was kind of pieced together originally was because we're trying to build the game super fast, and we did build it really, so there's a lot of things that are just like hanging together by like strings and stuff, and so we've invested a lot of time onto refactoring the inventory system. But the thing is, because it's such a huge system in itself, and there's one like really elite guy that's kind of just all heads down deep into this, but he's kind of saying, okay, I'm getting close to the end, right? So the reason we didn't make we had the quiver system, the additional backpack systems in the works before, but it was going to be built on the old system. But you've probably seen like we've been having issues with like dupes and stuff.
Yeah.
And
we noticed
the reasoning, is because there are conflicts with the refactor system is putting in a lot of safeguards for those kind of issues. But the thing is that we have to make a conscious choice. It's like, okay, do we build the quiver and backpack system, knowing when the refactor system goes in, we have to rebuild it again anyways? Is like, or we're just going to wait for the updated system, and then we could build it on top of that. And so again, we had a good sign from RNG, hey, this is getting pretty close to completion. And once that happens, then it's going to be way quicker and much more robust to have the quiver system. We already have that all the design documents and everything ready for the quiver system like 3 months ago, like down to the details. It's just this is the behind story. It's like, okay, do we build it twice, knowing that even the first one's not going to be the right way, or
Right.
should we just wait? Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Oh yeah. Okay. So there's a lot of people asking for the removal of inspect in the lobby. Personally, I think you should go the other way. I think people should just be able to push a button and then inspect everyone at the same time because it will trigger all of the normies.
Okay. Well, might not be what you guys want to hear, but this is something that's going to happen probably within the first month that we're working on. We might remove the base camp.
We're just going to remove it outright.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that would solve the problem.
Again, this might be an overreaction to having, because one of the reasons why was, having these kind of super unpopulated sessions is that you're in the base camp and you're just wandering around and you only see like two other guys, and then when you start the match, all that tension in the match, where it's like.
And you have, I mean, to like expand on this, you have people that will go in and like literally try to rush the campfire or whatever, just to make sure that like their buddies are in the same lobby. You'll have people that will run around and inspect people. They have second accounts that will go and inspect other people looking for dudes wearing gold, because that's a way that they can circumvent the timeouts that they would take otherwise. And then knowing all of that information in advance, then they get into the game in the match. And then they have all this advanced information, especially if you're dealing with like teaming issues. So I guess one easy way to get around that would be just having people like queue up and then go into the game, and then they don't really know whether or not they're actually together or not until they find each other, I suppose. So it kind of like changes it.
Yeah. So that was the other real big reason why, is because, we think that teaming is this huge issue, and, the base camp is one of the tools that they have to figure out, okay, are they in the same match or not? It's like, hey, you start, you don't know, until you're actually in the session itself. There's other technical considerations and stuff too, that I think removing this will help, a little bit marginally, but, some of the performance stuff, some of our server costs and stuff. And so there's multiple reasons that benefits to doing this. I know that there is that kind of, that was one of the unique aspects of going into the tavern, inspecting each other. But I think, we kind of underestimated some of the ramifications, the side effects that come to that lead to a poor, game experience.
Okay.
So yeah, if we don't have the base camp, there's not going to be any inspecting.
All right.
that's our
let's see.
way of.
Chad, anybody else have any questions? Is the death cam going to be included in this next thing? Are we going to have 5.3 for Unreal in this next build, or is that like being delayed?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, we just need to get a little bit more internal stuff done. But I think it's looking good. So I think we will see it pretty soon.
So a lot of people are asking about dwarves. I know that you answered this once in the past and said
no dwarves this time.
No dwarves. No dwarves.
Yeah. So the next race is actually not going to be the dwarf.
Do you want to tell people what the next race is going to be? Because you didn't give me that one.
No. So again, because it's going to be this. The choice is, do we work on the next, because the main guy that works on the animation for all of this is the guy that's working on all the animals forms for the druid. So it's going to be, do you want the next race first, or you want us
druid
to make the druid? Yeah,
druid.
So that's why. Yeah.
Chat, druid or new race? I think this is going to be an easy one.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone is. It's like 80-20 druid. Yeah. Druid, okay. We have invested too much, so saith Katie.
So the last thing I do want to make clear is that I think people might get the wrong idea, is that the white has been pushed back, delayed only 1 day. So I think I might have misspoken.
Yeah.
And said at least 1 day, but it's just 1 day.
Yeah, you delayed it by 1 day. Yeah. So
by 1 day.
it's the 15th, not the 14th.
Yeah, and I'm again really sorry to disappoint.
No, that's
it's just, there's a lot of real life stuff that happened here. It's just like, and
so that is like, let's assume that's by like 11:59 p.m. GMT on the 15th. Because usually when you say that, it's like during the day on the 15th, right? So yeah, by the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because that's typically how they've done it, guys.
Yeah.
Chat's asking what happens to Otto if the tavern's removed.
So I think so the thing is, those are good questions, because we had those same questions internally when we're talking about removing the base camp. So the two big things people still use the base camp is Otto. So we're gonna find he's our mascot. We have to find a way to incorporate him again. But again, you remember we're gonna we're not gonna just throw out all the stuff that we worked on. So again, there's that guild housing system later on. But the other thing is the target dummies, right? Where you could test your damage on the trading dummies, and so that's going to be a lot easier because we do have access to the starting rooms and stuff, so we could just start transferring the training dummies. You could find out how much damage you're doing there. But Otto will be in the game. Don't worry about it. Later on. He's just taking a rest.
Okay. So. All right. I got the Otto plushie, man. My 3-year-old. It's like her favorite thing. She loves it. All right. Do you think it will ever be possible for Gloctane to get good? That's what I would like to know.
I wish SDF was here, because he's the main guy that's behind all the classes, all the balancing stuff, and he's the but I know
no. Probably not.
I would say there's a good chance, because like the Warlock is one of his favorite classes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So for the Ice Abyss, do you think it's looking like weeks, months?
Okay. So again, background, story is that our level guys, two of them, they've been working on the Abyss for the last 3 weeks, because prior to the change in strategy of kind of doing that laser focus on balancing each map for each party type, is that we're just going to go with the full freedom, and we need the Ice Abyss. So they were making all the modules, working on that. But the thing is, and then our monster guys, we have 2 now. Remember?
That's right.
They're working really hard.
You got the 2 guys.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So and our new guy, he got up to speed really quick. Like the Wendigo was his thing, So he made that really, if you guys like the Wendigo, that's our new guy right away. But basically, they're working on the additional monsters for the Frost Mountain, and then our main guy, the original guy, is working on the Frost Wyvern, right? And so that was our thing. It was like, we got to push it out for the white, and they're like, it's impossible. We wanted to by the end of the April. But the thing is, right now, because we've pushed back into, hey, let's get the other stuff ready, more in tune, is that that kind of stuff is, we want to have good experiences for solos, good experience for duos, good experience for trios, and then we're going to make sure that, hey, we can make, from what we learned, reforming these kind of maps, is that, hey, when we make this new map, now we have that extra knowledge and to make a better Ice Abyss. Yeah. So I guess that's our strategy. Is like, we've been rushing things, and then now that it's taking its toll, let's kind of slow down a little bit,
Yeah, and I think unfortunately you guys are in that position where you can punch out stuff like as fast as possible, but then if it's flawed, you end up getting criticized for having a flawed thing that went out. And if it takes too long, then you get criticized for it being too slow. So you don't really get to win on either end. But I think most of us would agree that we would rather have something that is quality and working with minimal like defects and bugs and stuff, as opposed to just having a piece of content slapped out there that ends up being unusable for a while, like what happened with the marketplace implementation. So I think we would prefer to see something that's a quality offering.
Yes. So that's basically the change in strategy. Was before it was like just throw everything on the wall and see what sticks. Now it's like, okay, we know that some of these things actually stuck to the wall. Let's actually make it better.
Okay, so this is probably the last question because we're like at an hour and a half now.
Yeah.
So for the seasons, like as the seasons are progressing, we know that the plan is to have a season be like 90 days. Is there like is there some type of like slated timeline progression of how you figure these rotations are going to go? Like, is it supposed to be 90 days and then like a 2-week interim period and then another 90? Is that kind of the plan, or are you guys still trying to figure that out?
We're still trying to figure that out. I think
Okay.
so. This last one, we went way too far. It's been almost 4 months actually, right? It was, I think, November 22nd was when we started the season. So yeah, I don't think we're gonna do a season this long in the future. So we haven't nailed it down yet, but probably gonna be a little bit shorter. So I think the thing for us is we'll probably, like, this time it was our first time trying it out, that kind of 2-week in between time, is that next time we could probably plan it better, or actually plan it out to do something for that 2 weeks and have kind of event and stuff. So and it gives us a little bit of time to actually prepare for the next wipe. So internally we're thinking it's going to be a little bit shorter. We don't have the actual time length yet, but probably do keep that kind of time in between before the start of the next season. So like the 2 weeks. Again,
Okay.
Maybe it'll change. I'll let you know if it does change. But this one was way too long. So, I think a lot of people are in agreement there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for taking the time. Guys, tomorrow evening, there's going to be another one of these with So Bad Strange and several other folks talking to the devs about more stuff related to what's coming up. I'm sure they have a whole bunch more questions to ask you now that we've talked about what to expect. And I don't know if you had anything that you wanted to say or add before we kind of call it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I know that this wipe is not as we don't have like these cool big, hey, this is what's going to come out. But I think it's going to be just more us maturing as a studio, trying to figure out like, hey, not trying to overdo everything. And so the overall quality, I think, is going to, even though the pace might slow down a little bit, is that, again, like you said, we're going to start trying to focus more on quality over quantity time. So yeah, internally, I think this new update is going to be something at least we're looking really forward to. So yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. I know that myself and a whole lot of people really, really appreciate the time that you guys take to talk to us about everything and being as approachable as you are. It's not a common thing. We don't typically see devs in the world of gaming like kind of take the time to talk to us like you do. So I know that we appreciate it.
Yeah. So again, I don't want to always come out just having excuses, but
that's all good.
It was a really rough last month for us. But we're gonna work on it and we're gonna make it up to you guys.
All right, man. Well, appreciate you, and we'll definitely talk to you for the next one and see how things are going.
All right.
All
So
right, sir.
thanks once again, Onepeg. So hopefully when we have a couple more big milestone things coming out, I think like let's hype up the arena on the
Sure.
test server when we get ready for that. So
Yeah. I think it'll be
thank you
fun.
very much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. Thank you.